Let's slide now into the corridors of justice. The High Court has declined to set aside a sentence against the Director of Criminal Investigation, George Kinoti. On November the 18th, Kinoti was sentenced, you remember, to 4 months in prison for contempt of court on grounds of failing to surrender firearms that belonged to business Jimmy Wanjigi, as we reported. Meanwhile, the court will on Tuesday make a ruling on whether the ejected FKF President Nick Mwendwa will be charged.
On the 18th of November, the court sentenced the Director of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti, to 4 months in prison for contempt of court. This prompted the DCI to file a notice of motion seeking to have the court set aside the sentence, saying he had been wrongfully enjoined. Kinoti had maintained that the firearms were in custody of the Firearms Licensing Board. In a ruling delivered virtually by Justice Anthony Murima, the court declined to set aside the sentence, saying the DCI did not prove how the firearms were transferred to the board, hence the sentence remains in force. Meanwhile, ejected FKF President Nick Mwendwa, who was arrested on Friday, will remain in police custody until Tuesday, when the court will rule on whether he'll be charged. Mwendwa had earlier on been set free after a miscellaneous application seeking to detain him for 14 days was closed. Shortly thereafter, he was arrested again. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Eunice Nyutu, Mwendwa, through his lawyers Eric Mutua and Mutula Kilonzo Jr., objected to plea taking as they called on the court to review the Sports Act.
In violation of Article 10 of the Constitution, the state acted in bad faith.
A charge cannot be preferred against Nick Mwendwa based on the regulations and the Sports Act, because if the DPP and the executive can be allowed to flout those regulations, it means that those regulations and the provisions of the Sports Act 52, 53 and 54 have no legal value.
The ruling on whether he'll be charged will be delivered on Tuesday. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.